Welcome to HopeCast. I'm your host, Diane Curry-Sam, and I have with me Saber Miresmaillii, CEO and founder of Ecoation, a comprehensive AI-driven yield and IPM forecasting solution for greenhouses based in North Vancouver, BC. Welcome.
Thanks
Let's
for
tell
having
some
me.
stories.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here.
So I'd like to start about your solution. Tell me about that. I want to hear how your technology, you said it's making the food we eat nutritious, clean, free of pesticides. What is the technology? What's it doing? Why is it benefiting people?
We call the company a forecasting company because we basically use the technology portion for pest management to digitize the status of pests and diseases in the greenhouse, but also to forecast and to predict in what direction this pest and disease is moving inside the greenhouse. So the growers can actually find out where and when and by what kind of a force they're going to be hit in future. So in anticipation for that problem, they can utilize more lenient, treatments, for example, biological control agents instead of pesticides. So far, we've been successful in reducing pesticide application across the board by 75%. Nice. And we really want to, achieve a goal of, 90% or more, and hopefully get to zero residue in all of our customer and client greenhouses.
So your technology will tell the greenhouse grower what's coming, so that they don't have to blast it with pesticides because it's too late.
Yes.
And it's over. They know ahead of time, and they don't have to take the really drastic measures.
Exactly. Because right now what's happening in the greenhouse is that they basically scout a portion of the greenhouse annually. We digitize that, and our technology actually help to make things a little bit more faster. But also we take that, let's say 20%, 25%, through our platform that we actually developed with our partners at BioBest Crop Scanner to, let's say, after you scout 20% of the greenhouse, we can predict and project what's going to happen in the 100% of your greenhouse. Okay. So the IPM component is near and dear to me, and I tell you the story about how this whole thing actually came about. And this is something that we developed very closely with our partners and investors, BioBest. But to the same token, we also use the same technology in a different platform and different form and shape we call OCO to do yield forecasting. So yield forecasting is important for a variety of reasons. Of course, you need to know to better negotiate the prices, to better understand, what's coming, but also to organize the labor, to organize how many boxes do I need, how many trucks do I have to actually plan for this week. So these are the two particular elements that we focus on right now. Keeping the crop healthy through our product Crop Scanner, and producing the better yield forecasting, and also automating some crop metric measurements automatically through the OCO.
Excellent. So we just put on our imagination hat for a sec and think, 5 years out, 10 years out, like what's not the end game, because this stuff never ends, but what's your company's future story? How has this impacted Canada and the world? What impact are you making over the next multiple years?
The future is always inspired by the past. What really got me into doing what I'm doing today is the fact that I'm coming from a farming background myself, and I really wanted to improve this industry because I lost a family member to pesticide exposure. And what really drove me was we don't have enough farmers to begin with. And that was 20-some years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So if we come up with a solution that enabled the farmers to produce the food, make it marketable without the excessive reliance on pesticides, then we can protect these people and put it out there. Because one thing that is important, and a lot of people really don't pay much attention, is we as consumers, we really care about what's in our tomatoes because we want to take it, to cook it, we want to put it in front of our children and the loved ones. But the reality of the matter is, so does the farmer. The farmers don't want to use these pesticides if they don't have to. And those are the ones who are actually exposed to this chemistry more than anybody else. So my goal and what I wanted to actually create as, let's say, my legacy end game, whatever it is the person who tried to help the farmers produce perfect, good-looking, delicious, and nutritious produce reliance on pesticides. So Canada, North America in general, Europe, we have customers in Japan, for example. This is something that the market demands. This is what all the consumers want. And this is what the producers also are aspired to do. So we created this solution essentially to achieve that. And my goal and my hope and my dream is, in next 5 years, next 10 years, if you may, this become a common practice that people actually use this digitized IPM and digitized yield forecasting approach, because if you want to grow tomatoes or peppers, that's how you do it.
Okay.
I remember 28 years ago, 30 years ago, when I had my own greenhouse, we didn't have the climate, computers. We used to go around and, things.
You got your checklist, right? You just mark it off the.
But right now, it's impossible to think of building a new greenhouse without a climate system.
Yeah.
So I hope that our technology become as common as climate technology is, and not just necessarily Ecoations, because there are lots of good companies that trying to build similar things, and competition is absolutely a good thing. But for this way of thinking about pest management and yield forecasting to become the norm.
Yeah, and they're really thinking about it in a whole new way. Instead of what can we blast this with, it's going to be how can we stop this from the early stages, because we know. Yeah. So I'd like to hear a customer story. I always ask people who their favorite customer is, but nobody ever says it because they love them all, right? But tell me one of your customer stories that you're excited about, that you really felt, wow, this benefited these people in a really direct way.
We do have a lot of customers who basically save money, obviously. I mean, as a farmer myself, that's the best testament. And when you see a grower actually come back and after they tried the first solution, buy more of it, you know that they actually see the value into this. I would say, when we sit down with our customers and when they actually go over the numbers and they tell us how much time they saved, how much more efficient they are, how, faster they can act on a particular problem, because we really reduce the time to action when it comes to IPM. Our crop scanner solution that we built with BioBest really can cut, days in how fast it can be on top of a problem, which if you're inside a greenhouse, hot and humid, something can explode super fast. That can become important. I can't necessarily name a particular customer because there's so many of them who came up with this idea that you enabled me to do more with my time. I can now feel comfortable because I have visibility in my operation and I can actually save a lot of time. So rely on your technology for some of the tedious things like figuring out where you're located, because we have a geo-aware technology, and spend most of my time looking at plants. And be prepared and ready for that.
Yeah, and farmers are under a lot of pressure. Their margins are not huge, right? So anything that they can do to that's great. So the other thing I'm interested in is your team, the people that you work with. What do they mean to you? And tell me some stories about them.
We have, it might actually be kind of a matter of grandiose for a team of 36 people, but we refer to ourselves as Ecoation Nation. And we refer to our colleagues as citizens. And of course, we had lots of folks that actually came and gone, co-ops, postdocs, people who've been here and moved on. And the folks that are here pretty much are the reason that this technology is amazing. Because it's not just, this piece of code or that piece of hardware. It's the investment of the emotion and care that these people actually put into building this solution, taking it to market, and then also support the customers when they're using it. So I would say, these folks are actually my family. Every single one of them have the ability to go and work somewhere else, probably get paid more, but they chose to be here. And I'm grateful for that every single day. And one of our values, if you may, is this wonderful concept that started in Finland called sisu, meaning that you really muster the courage and the girth when things get difficult. And this company has been through lots of difficult times. And I could see that these people who I have the honor to call the citizens of the nation, came through these tumultuous waters. They explored these uncharted territories with me, and they happen to be around because every single one of them are subscribed to the idea of doing something that make the world a better place.
Yeah.
As I said, they can go and work somewhere else. They can get, probably easier job, more pay. But what we do here really resonates with every single individual person who's here in this company today. And I would say that was quite telling when we did the survey through a third-party company, and we've been named as a great place to work in Canada and great place to work in British Columbia, with 88% satisfaction factor, where the approval rate was 62.
This is nice because a lot of the CEOs that I work with, when they talk about their team, their face lights up. And I've noticed the same thing about you, and that must have been a very proud moment to be named a best place to work.
They're wonderful people. They're wonderful people who chose to be here, and I'm grateful for their choices every single day.
Excellent. Now, the other thing, now to expand that out a little bit, I'm very interested in the concept of collaboration. So was there any other moments where, and maybe partners, vendors, collaborators, I'm interested in the Hortica project, I believe.
Yes.
And how does the bigger picture of who you're working with and your collaborations, tell me a little bit about that and what that means to you?
Absolutely. One of the things that can really kill a startup is losing focus. When you start something, you can always get lost in imagination and go down multiple rabbit holes. But we decided that we are going to focus on a couple of things that we are really good at, and basically open our arms and reach out to people to collaborate and create an ecosystem of offering, and work with people who have other things that we don't have, and create a solution that is, kind of like create a synchrony between us and them, and generally speaking, benefit the customers. So over the years, we've done so many different partnerships, from established companies to universities to research centers to other startups that are at different stages. And some of these partnerships bloom into a full-fledged investment and engagement, like BioBest, for example.
Yeah.
These are one of our biggest investors. Some actually turn into partnership that can satisfy the need for hardware. We have this partnership with Bogarts, for example, at Belgium, that allow us to provide the best-in-class mobility platforms and technologies to our customers. And some are simply exploratory through different markets, finding ways that we can enhance things and bring things to the market and introduce them to them. So when Hortica idea started, what really inspired us to do this is this vacuum, this lack of, let's say, a North American, a Canadian, epicenter of horticultural knowledge. Because for the most part, a lot of this information that we're actually using right now is coming from Netherlands. And I love our Dutch colleagues, I love all the technologies. They are absolutely the pioneers of the industry, and they've done so much for this world and this industry that no one person can actually count it. But the reality of the matter is, we also have a lot of good technologies, innovations, solutions that are not necessarily made in Netherlands. And for us, we wanted to create a collaboration center where we can showcase technologies that are made in different countries, but also encourage our Dutch partners to also come and help. So it's not an exclusive North American thing, Hortica,
right?
But it's something that is designed to help the North American grower. And that's why we expanded the work and the projects that we're doing. Publicly, it's quite known that we're working with TELUS Ag, where we want to actually bring some technologies for the future. We are going to announce some other collaborations that we have with some universities. We already have this established relationship with University of Windsor. There will be a prominent university from United States that we're going to talk about very soon. It's going to join us. And a myriad of different companies who come to Hortica either to showcase their technology or to collaborate with us in building one of the most successful ecosystems of offerings that people can choose and see in one single place.
That's what I loved about it. I was quite excited because it seemed to be this, hey, let's all raise the ships together, right?
Yes.
So, and it relates to the bigger picture of what you're trying to do. Have healthy, no pesticide type of food that is clean and sustainable on our plates.
Absolutely.
Now that leads me nicely into my next question. This is about your mentorship. I believe that this younger generation is really facing an uncertain future.
Yes.
It's crazy what's happening in the world. In your area, and in particular, I worry about food security. Are we going to have to eat? Like, are we going to, those kind of things? Like, what would you say to this, the younger generation coming up about this uncertain future?
First thing that I will tell them is to chill. Just chill.
Okay.
Because if you go through this world being nervous, you basically block your innovative brain and you won't be able to think. Every single generation faced, their own demons. They had their own challenges. They had their own issues. I mean, I'm not going to revealing my age too much, but, we've seen our fair share of hardships. And while they were different in nature, nonetheless, they were still, a source of anxiety and uncertainty when we grew up. And what we experienced is that some humans came together and they figured things out and they came up with a solution that allow us to rise above it. And we moved on. Talking of Netherlands, if those folks actually would not came with the concept of dikes and the canals and everything, the entire country would be under the water.
Yeah. Fair.
So,
Yes.
and it's a constant challenge by the nature that is quite existential in its nature. And some smart people figure out a way to rise above it. So first of all, chill. Because if you lose your wits and if you become nervous, you can't innovate. Then think about what areas you can actually improve upon, what areas you can actually work. You have to find your true callings. There's so many causes in this world that are quite worthy. And people can actually go and spend a lifetime doing that. For me, that cause was clean food and helping my fellow farmers.
Nice.
And there are lots of things that the young people can actually do to have a positive impact in this world. And one thing that they have that we didn't have is this assortments of tools and solutions that allow them to accelerate their innovation. I remember when I had to go to college, I had to go to the library and I had to ask for an issue of a journal, a physical journal. This is pre-Google dates.
Yeah,
and I
me
had to
too.
wait for a month. There you go. So people know that. And I had to wait for this latest, article on something to come in a physical form, and I get a photocopy of that so I could actually read that article. But right now, you have access to all of this knowledge at the tip of your finger in your pocket on your phone. So I would say if they choose a worthy cause, the world today in 2023 has myriads of tools and supports and ways to support entrepreneurial thinking and innovation. And you can actually, build things fast and go far much faster than we used to do.
Excellent.
Very hopeful.
Well, that's what that was going to lead to my next, because our podcast is called HopeCast.
Of course.
Yeah. So what are the stories of hope? Like, how important do you think they are, and how important do you think storytelling in general is for your business and just for this next generation, especially?
I mean, it's fascinating when you think about, all the tools that we actually have, all the abilities and technologies. Of course, technology can be misused. Don't get me wrong. You can, I don't know, you kill someone with a knife, or you can actually cut something and, cook a beautiful meal with it. So right now with ChatGPT, for example, everybody's, crying, it's going to change the world and the facts and things of that nature. But this type of tools can also help and be a source of innovation. You might notice the logo of NASA and the Canadian Space Agency.
I saw that, yes.
We are actually building essentially a food production chamber that can produce 17 different crops as part of the Deeper Space Food Challenge. We are part of 200 participants. We are top 4 right now. And I'm going to say that we're absolutely going to win it. I'm very confident.
Yeah.
But the fact that we could actually build this pod that essentially can sustain 4 astronauts for their trip to Mars, and feed them, is possible because some pieces of technology become available 2-3 years ago. If this challenge was posed 5 years ago, we could have not built it. So when I look at future, when I think about the hopefulness of the future, with the speed that new technologies and new capacities and capabilities become available, you can open up your imagination to a lot of things that someone like me would have not even dared to imagine in my wildest dream 10 years ago, that is quite possible. And the good thing is the new generation is not confined with the classic standard of you have to go to university for 4 years and you have to get this degree and do a master's. No, you can basically get 4 weeks of training on machine learning and use a couple of libraries, and now you can innovate. You can learn a lot of the things that you want to learn on YouTube.
Yeah.
And now you can build something amazing.
Well, thank you very much. I get excited thinking about the food growing in space. Like,
yes.
Really kind of appealed to the nerd in me. But so your company, it's Ecoation.com. The link will be in the chat notes. What is coming up for you? What are you excited about? What is next gen? Is it OKO2?
It's basically a miniaturized version of our ecosystem. That's, again, another example of possibilities. So I won't be able to show you, but if I have you here in the company headquarters, and I would love to invite you, we have a museum of 11 different versions of the solution that they actually build over time. And you can see that over time things become smaller, lighter, nicer, and more affordable for the customers. And the OKO2 is essentially a miniaturized version of our system that allows us to do yield forecasting and crop metric measurement. And up to this point, we were confined to greenhouses that have pipe rails that allow us to use solutions that engage with the pipe rail to know exactly where they are for geolocation. But with this new generation, we basically can go to any kind of greenhouse, whether they have pipe rail or not. So I can go to mid-tech greenhouses, I can go to low-tech greenhouses. Now I can go to places like Spain or Morocco or portions of Mexico that I could have not served literally last year.
Nice.
So this is a miniaturized, more powerful, more capable, that can address far greater and bigger market that we can have. And then there is Crop Scanner, which is a joint project that we actually built with our partners at BioBest. And this also have more capacities and capabilities. It, for example, have the ability to scan the sticky cards and tell, what kind of development you have. It works with some other third-party products that we haven't built, but other equally innovative companies like PATS, for example, developed, or TrapEye that BioBest got the award for just recently developed. And we can communicate with these solutions, and we can bring a next level of IPM to the market via BioBest and Plant Products at North America through these technologies. So all of these things, all of these advancements are possible because of the rate of innovation, that how fast things are getting better in the world, and how many new opportunities become available to anyone.
Well, you can see, for those of you who are listening, you can see I'm really smiling. I thank you very much. This has been Saber Miresmaillii from Ecoation. You can check him out at ecoation.com. And I really appreciate your stories of hope, inspiration, innovation, and the bright future to come in agriculture. Again, thank you very much.
Wonderful. If I can say one last thing.
Of course.
I really like to encourage the young people who watch this podcast, who are not necessarily familiar with agriculture, to consider a career in agriculture, because our vision of agriculture, what been told us, is an old man with a pitchfork next to a very sad daughter dealing with dirt. It's far from it. If you love gaming, if you like AI, if you like crypto, if you like any of those type of cool things, agriculture today is extremely sexy. It's one of those careers that doesn't go out of fashion. People always eat. You can make good money, and you can use your smartness, your mind, and your fresh perspective towards doing something absolutely meaningful and universal. Food is the common denominator of humanity, and I don't think that you can find anything more worthy and more honorable of being a digital farmer of the future. So I really want to invite the new generation of the folks who might not necessarily consider farming as a career to think about it, and come to talk to people like us. Talk to greenhouses. Go to folks like Cole Mucci, for example. I'm pretty sure that Cole would absolutely love to open his greenhouse and give a tour, so you understand possibilities that are available to you. And talk to me and talk to my friends. Thank you.
Well, awesome. Thank you very much. I have a 17-year-old in grade 12, so I'm going to Send him that recording of your
Please
encouragement.
do. Please do.
Yeah, again,
We need more farmers in the world.